Welcome, everyone. I'm going to do a reading of Republic and Empire by Thomas Zaugg. That's a picture of him on the screen there. So let's get into it. This isn't the best studio, but hopefully you can hear me. Republic and Empire, Thomas C. Zaugg. Preface. Containing this work is a proposition for a new nation. What necessitates this proposition is the behavior on the part of the Canadian state which goes beyond corruption and dysfunction and actually crosses the threshold of crimes against humanity. Many government personnel are good people who are doing their best with what they know, while others are far more nefarious. The Canadian state lost its authority to govern with the glib remarks of its Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, when he admitted Canada is guilty of committing a genocide, a reference to the country's treatment of First Nations people. Canada's culpability in genocide in the past is one issue, but its continued proclivity towards genocide necessitates drastic action for the citizenry that is currently being subjected to the incompetent rule of this tyrannical nanny state. The Canadian state has repeatedly entered into international agreements with international bodies without consulting the populace or even announcing this degradation of our national sovereignty. I contend that this regime is a criminal enterprise and the supposed democracy is a performed theatrical production the state puts on for the public to create the illusion of choice. I propose a new choice, a new system. This book explores the intricacies of this proposed new system and puts forward a summary of the thinking and principles that the nation state ought to be founded on, an action plan to secure our economic and national security interests, and a first draft of this new proposition nation's constitution. My hope is that through this work, the wonderful people I share this beautiful country with will one day know freedom in its truest sense of the word, liberty. My prayer is that we can wrestle power away from these criminal Laurentian elites without plunging the country into the inevitable chaos and hardship of a civil war. But be under no illusion the path the Canadian state has embarked on cannot continue, and the government that took these steps in authoritarianism must be brought to justice. My prayer is that men of this country are prepared to meet in their town squares by the hundreds and thousands, and that these men have the discipline, honor, respect, integrity, and courage to know how to form into columns of three and beginning with left foot march. There is no sight more terrifying to the criminal elite than disciplined men marching without uniforms, but uniform in their purpose. We have had enough. We will not destroy our homes. We will not destroy our families. We will not destroy our way of life. We will not escape justice for the crimes we have committed against us. I believe that through this level of demonstrated unity and force, this regime will topple without a shot being fired, much like the Soviet Union. However, unlike the Soviet Union, we will not allow the criminals that damaged and sought to destroy our nation to escape justice. There will be trials, and they will be broadcast to the world, and the guilty shall be punished, and their punishment will be a stark reminder to future generations of world leaders that they are accountable to us, the people. To my friends in the establishment, people who work hard to do their best to serve the Canadian people, this government's corruption is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to do something about it. As a single solitary citizen, I have done all that I can do to craft a workable framework for a replacement system of government. To serve the people of this nation, I suggest that your service will be needed by this new system, that your experience of seeking what works and what doesn't can be applied and utilized in this new endeavor, and that together, over the next few months and years, we can craft a system of government that better serves us all and will protect future generations from falling into the trap we have. There will be amnesty for those who confess their own misdeeds in government and rewards for those who highlight problems that have yet to reveal themselves to the public. But do be aware, this new system will have a death penalty that will be applied to treason, not for treason against the old system that can only be punished by life in prison. But treason against the new system carries a death sentence. False confessions, omissions of reporting of serious wrongdoing, and betraying the public trust will all be viewed and punished as treasonous acts. May God keep our land glorious and free. Okay, a treatise. Adam felt that men might be and men are, that they might create joy. All men are created in mortal as mortal beings, with natural and inalienable rights given to them by God, which have also been articulated through thousands of years of history in striking the delicate balance between the instinctual wants and needs of the individual balanced against the collective interest of the sum of all individuals as whole in the form of society. These rights also serve as a limit on the power of any state or government. Or if a government were to continually ignore the natural rights of its citizens, the people's instinctual drives will eventually overthrow such a system, often with bloodshed followed by chaos and a regression of civility and a total disestablishment of order. Such is the safeguard against tyranny in any republican society. When the will of the people is ignored, their wrath will be felt. An empire requires an emperor in order to manage the gains society has made over time. These gains include, but are not limited to, progression of the law, advancement in technological and scientific understandings, to oversee the day-to-day operations of crown corporations, managing long-term diplomatic and cultural relations between the nation and its allies, and to present to the public the image of the pure embodiment of a benevolent state. This word emperor carries with it the negative stigmatization of a mostly forgotten history or glorified dictators. An emperor or monarch in more primitive societies was a position arrived at often through birth. This dynamic cultivated a selective inequality and led to widespread disregard for the natural rights of man or the subjects of the crown. However, their rule did facilitate an accumulation of wealth, resources, and knowledge. The historic 1215 signing of the Magna Carta, combined with the 1217 Law of the Forest, signaled the beginning of the end of the tyranny of self-centered, power-hungry monarchs, and ushered in a nearly 1,000-year era of more moderate monarchs who balanced and shared their power with parliaments. However, even the parliaments were not immune to the disease of corruption and often passed laws and legislation that again infringed on the natural rights of man. In the late 1700s, a band of wise and hardworking colonists in North America declared their independence from monarchy altogether and founded, with the drafting of their Constitution, a North American Republic. The United States of America was never designed to be an empire. The founding fathers could have never predicted was the extent that American ingenuity and the technological advances born out of that ingenuity, and how it would literally reshape the entire earth for all mankind. This popular free thinking quickly became a threat to the established order of the world, and through subversion, the republic became enticed into becoming a pseudo-empire, used primarily as a battering ram against the world to achieve the designs of a cabal of cunning and wealthy subverters. None of the wars of the 19th century were fought for the benefit of the American people, but instead served the interests of the banking cartels, who have stolen the wealth and even the very soul of the beautiful, self-reliant, and free-thinking republic which the founders created. It was the slow drift into empire that invited the Cold War subversion from the now defunct Soviet Union, and this subversion has left the United States and many of its allies intellectually disadvantaged. The methodical dumbing down of the population was a necessary step in order to successfully implement a more sinister design to cause the republic to collapse in on itself in a fury of anxiety, exhaustion, and confusion. My friends, our adversaries seek to entirely destroy our way of life, and they seek to replace it with a world where the common man is a serf with no recourse for when he is robbed or wronged. A society where he is so intellectually dominated by the propaganda of this new government, the technology, that he cannot even begin to find redress and be awarded that which they are due if they are ever wronged. Inheriting a broken system does not require the compliance of our good generation. There are established legal precedents for a sustained open rebellion against the current state. But what is of more significance than the manifested outrage of a people wronged by a corrupted government? It is, is a cohesive system of government to replace the current established order. The benefit in presenting a well-reasoned alternative to the status quo is that in time, as these ideas are further developed, more people will come to an understanding of the reasoning behind this new proposition nation. In time, this will make it easier to be adopted in a mostly peaceful transition of power. Accepting, of course, that the most corrupt will never let go of power willingly and must be dealt with by means other than well-reasoned words. It is for the protection of our way of life on the North American continent that I have sought to craft this alternative system of government to the current established order, that people may live in a republic where their rights are inalienable, and that their systems of government are not only representational, but that the services and functions of that government are held to account. The highest standard of professional conduct, and that services and systems are not cumbersome or illogical in their demands of the citizenry, so that those services are easily accessible to all. What is explored in this piece of writing is the balancing of the needs of the individual who are in government, the needs of the institutions that they oversee, and the needs of the people, with the ultimate understanding of the collective will of the people shall be the guide for the direction of the government. Mobs of people will always be collectively stupid, overly emotional, and short-sighted, which is why our species has arrived at these concepts of democratic representational governments and the legal fictions in which to house them. These systems are a means of harnessing the natural instinctual drive, the mentality of the mob rule, and channeling it into a more precise and effective system. In time, however, if the needs of the individuals who operate within a system, which is to say government, are not properly managed and cared for, the system begins to decay as the individuals charged with the administration of said system succumb to corruption. It is for this purpose the benefit of the administrators that an emperor needs to exist in order to provide guidance in the execution of their duties to the people and to lead them by example. The emperor's power is not the government, not the people. This example also benefits the public, as the emperor is the embodiment of the standards of service and care they are to expect from a personal acting in the name and on behalf of their government. The emperor is to be knowledgeable, warm, thoughtful, well-spoken, fair, and capable of discerning right from wrong, fact from fiction, and truth from lie. The emperor is called to his position by divine right. The functionality of how this calling takes place will be explored later in this text. Suffice it to say for now that there is both a spiritual and a practical aspect that an individual must attain in order to be eligible for this position, for the position. He must also carry some favor with the people, not necessarily a majority of the people, but they can't be the emperor and widely hated by large swaths of the population. The precedent of Magna Carta sets out that a people can only be continually governed with their consent. It is for the expression of the will of the people that there should be a Congress of common persons elected to serve no more than 2 5-year terms. The Congress persons shall air their grievances of their constituents with relation to any service or interaction with the government. Major corporations of various industries. Congress can pass resolutions to hold inquiries with subpoena powers. The Senate of Parliament can issue mandatory orders to agencies, corporations, and industries, and can put forward motion to prosecute where an information would then be traversed to the Office of Public Prosecution for prosecution. The seat of Congress will be distributed proportionally based on size of population. Bigger cities will have louder voices in Congress, but rural areas will maintain the majority of representation in the Senate of Parliament. It is for the benefit of the people that the progression of the society that they seek to create, that an executive branch of government presided over by a president will be elected to serve no more than two terms of 5 years. The executive branch of the government is to run for election on a platform of policies, proposals, and ideas for a general direction for the way forward for the society. The president is obligated to dutifully implement the policies, programs, and legislation a campaign to be elected on. The president found to be in deliberate violation of this stated mandate shall be impeached. The Senate of Parliament will be comprised of elected senators in order to be eligible to run for Senate. Actually, we'll go ahead and pause there. We're going to let this be part one. We'll continue with part two another time. Thanks for watching, listening, and watching. Till we see you again. Doop 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 doop.